Hey everyone, welcome back. James here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about 5 things that you can expect after you quit gaming for the first time. Now, back when I first quit video games, I think it was just over 6 years ago now, I did things pretty badly. There weren't too many methods available at the time. I was kind of riding blind, and I just followed whatever advice was given at the time. And general consensus was that you should do a detox from video games. Now, since then, I've learned that there's a much better approach, and it's the approach that I teach on this channel and in my training that allows people to quit gaming effortlessly, without any cravings, without motivation. But today, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of some of the things that you can expect the first time that you quit gaming. And depending on what method you use, it can either be very difficult or very easy. So number 1 on the list is withdrawals. Now it doesn't matter what method you use for this, everybody is going to experience withdrawals. You're going to get physical withdrawals, and these will include things like anxiety, headaches, shaking even, stress, lack of sleep, dizziness, the same withdrawals that drug addicts and drinking addicts and gambling addicts get when they quit as well. And these withdrawals will usually last around 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the person and the severity, but they will subside. And once they're gone, they're pretty much gone forever. It's unlikely that you will experience these symptoms again to the same extent during your life without video games. And on the flip side, from the physical, you've got the mental symptoms. Now, the mental side of withdrawal is usually the hardest. Most people tend to fail with the physical symptoms. They're too much for them to handle, and they end up giving back in to gaming or whatever their addiction is. But if you can make it through those, things will get easier, but it'll take a lot longer to overcome the mental symptoms of withdrawal than it will the physical. And these things include the odd craving, dreams, giving into pressure, like societal pressure and your friends, and some other things as well. Now, these can last for a long time, and while they're not easy, they will subside and get better over time. But all you can kind of do is, instead of learning to eliminate them completely, because that's just trying to fight a losing battle, you're fighting your brain, which controls everything about your life. And it's not really something that you can compete with very easily. What you instead need to do is learn to deal with them, interrupt them when the feeling strikes, when you get that emotional, that mental withdrawal symptom, that craving, whatever it is, and interrupt the feedback, interrupt the loop, so that you're kind of rewiring your thought processes when it happens. For example, in the past, when I would get a craving, I would go into panic mode. I'd start stressing, like, not to make the wrong mistake right now. Otherwise, I'm so close to going back to video games. This craving could derail my entire life, and yada, yada, yada. And now, when I get a craving to play games, if I ever get it, which is very rare, like if something comes up that could trigger me to play video games, my first thought is no longer panic. Instead, it's a positive. You see, I've learned over time to reframe these cravings in my head into a positive. I no longer think, what if I go back to gaming? Instead, I think, God, I can't believe how lucky I am to be free of video games. My life is so much better now, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity for this craving, because it reminds me of how fortunate I am to be free of video games. And as I said, this is only something you can do by interrupting that feedback loop and by shifting your mindset, using the tactics that I give out on this channel in my training. But until you do that, it's something that will always be a problem. Cravings will always be an issue for you if you never learn how to reframe them and move on accordingly. And so number 2, following on from that last point about cravings, I want to talk about why people get so many cravings when they follow the traditional methods of moderation, cutting down and detoxing and what you can do about it. You see, the issue is when people undertake a detox or a moderation attempt at gaming, they're still depriving their brain of its addiction, of what it really wants. Because all your brain cares about is getting that dopamine from whatever source it can. And in your case, you're addicted to gaming, so it wants to play video games. Pretty simple. And you might think that by moderating your video game use or attempting to moderate it, you're limiting the amount of dopamine your brain gets and you're making it easier to overcome these cravings. But in reality, you're making it worse. Because if anything, you're depriving your brain more than if you were to completely quit video games forever. Because at least in that circumstance, you can move on from games and replace them with something else. But if you're still trying to play an hour or two a day, or only on weekends, or only after you finish your chores, your brain still thinks there's a possibility that it can return to video games as a full-time addiction. All it has to do is send you the right signals, in this case cravings, to try and lure you back into the virtual world. Whereas in my case, and in people who are free of video games completely, they don't have to worry about that. Someone who's just on the edge of that fine line between gaming being a full-blown addiction and a potentially healthy habit, even though nothing about gaming is healthy, but that's something for another video. The only thing that separates them is that craving. And because they're on such a thin line, because they're so close to falling back into addiction, these cravings become so much more severe because the brain is deprived so much more. Because it knows that it can go back to gaming at any time. It just has to bring on these cravings even more. It's so close, like it can just reach out and grab you whenever it wants. And ultimately, these methods of quitting, or quitting like moderation and detoxing, generally only serve to increase those cravings and make them much more difficult to overcome. But if you do decide to go those routes, expect cravings to be a big part of your life, and dealing with them will take up a lot of your mental energy, so keep that in mind. Number 3 on the list is something that not too many people think about, and it's not really too much of a problem, despite what a lot of people think. It's dreams. I still get dreams about gaming. People I know that have quit their addiction for years still get dreams. It's entirely normal. It's not even known why we get them. They don't tend to result in cravings because we usually forget about them, but these dreams will come about, they'll happen, and there's not a lot you can do about it. You can't really control your dreams unless you dive into the whole world of lucid dreaming and like controlling them, but ultimately they're going to happen. And if you quit gaming, they're going to happen to you. So expect them, realize they're natural, and just move on. Just keep going about your life, just keep doing what you're doing, and keep striving to live a better life, to transform yourself, and live every day with purpose and passion, because it'll pass, and you'll get another dream, it'll happen, it's all right. Number 4 on the list of what you can expect after you quit gaming is free time. Now, this is one of the biggest concerns that people have, especially during the current coronavirus pandemic, is what are they going to do with all this free time? Because people, they game for 2, 4, 6, 12, 16 hours a day in some cases. That is a lot of time to fill. Most people recommend filling this time with hobbies or work or a passion, which is fine. But if you quit gaming and then try to take up 5 new hobbies, you are going to be in for one hell of a rough time. Seriously, you can try all you want, but if this is your first time quitting, you're not going to be able to go through these hobbies and force yourself to learn them for 12 hours a day and be creative non-stop, because it's just not possible. If you're just starting out as a beginner in any of these hobbies, you cannot devote 12 plus hours a day to this one single activity. The only reason you could do it for gaming was because you were addicted to it, because it was all you'd ever known since you were young. That's all you've been doing is playing video games. You're damn good at it. You're not good at this new hobby. As much as it sucks to hear, it's going to be tough. And the only way that you can fill this free time is with goals, with purpose, with a mission, and with clarity. And if you want to learn more about developing this clarity and setting goals, make sure to stick around for the end. But until you have that purpose, that mission, maybe even a job, if you don't have one right now, depending on how much you play games, it's going to be difficult for you to fill that time. And your energy should be focused on experimentation as opposed to implementation. So a lot of people like to list a long line of hobbies that they want to do, which is great. If I was to make a whole video on this, it would take far too long. But for now, just experiment with new things and focus on staying away from gaming and eliminating it from your life, as opposed to forcing yourself to try and do new hobbies that you don't enjoy for 12 hours a day. So it's just not going to be fun. But just keep in mind that when you first quit gaming, you're going to have more free time than you realize, and you've got to make a concerted effort to fill that time with new activities and improving your life for the better. And then lastly, number 5 on the list, and it's actually a positive one. I thought we'd end on a light note, and following on from point number 4, is that your life will change and improve in ways that you never thought possible. Like if you're addicted to gaming right now and you've never experienced life without them, you're in for one hell of a ride. Seriously, it is. The things that you can accomplish when you quit gaming successfully and in the right way will radically shift the way that you see life and everything in it. Everything you do, the way that you think about all your activities, all of your time, all your energy and your mindset and your discipline and focus and everything else, all of that will change. And it will go from here to, you can't see my arm. It'll go to a level that you couldn't even dreamt of. When you're waking up with a purpose, a passion, clarity, focus, a mission, discipline, everything, love, emotions, relationship. When you finally break through that first period of quitting gaming and you implement these things, internalize these values into your life, you will never look back. Whether you get fitter and healthier, or whether you make more money by pursuing an online business, or whether you just graduate from university and get a great job, you will realize how much of an impact gaming had on your life. And it's not until you get to that point can you see that it's like taking off chains from your body. It's like you are shackled down from reaching your full potential. But ultimately, this will only happen if you do it correctly. Because if you're like me and you're going through the traditional methods, you're going to be struggling with cravings. You're going to be relapsing non-stop for years. You're going to have months of motivation followed by months of depression, anxiety, and stress. And until you can really figure out the cause and really work out why gaming is doing these things to you and why gaming is the problem, you're never going to overcome addiction. And if you want to learn these ways, these methods of getting this clarity, of quitting gaming without motivation and willpower and eliminating cravings, click the link in the description below, book a call with me. It's a free 1-hour call. We'll go through all the stuff I mentioned, completely free. I just want to give back to you because I can't make a video about everything. Eventually I'll have videos on the channel covering everything. But for those of you right now who are watching and don't have the time to wait 6 months for me to upload 80 videos, book a call and let's see how we can improve your life right now, because I want you to realize what life is like without gaming. And if you've never done it before, then you should be doing it right from the start. And I want to help you do that. So click the link, book a call, and I'll speak to you soon. But until then, thanks for watching. As always, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.